And welcome back to PopPodium. It's been a while, but we're getting back on this train. Anyways, today we're going to do Interstellar, and we're going to do what's good about Interstellar. So like the three main things. So first, a little synopsis from Stromboli.
A little brief summary. So, the Earth is dying.
Yep.
So Matthew McConaughey is basically sent to space to find a viable planet for us to live on.
Yep.
And then amidst that happening, we get some very trippy space stuff going on, and
Yep. And there's the whole thing with his daughter. Yeah.
Just to remind you, 'cause obviously if you haven't seen the movie, you're gonna have to watch the movie. There's just a little reminder for anyone who hasn't seen it in a while. But that's basically the gist of the time travel and all that.
Right. Yeah. Because there's you start out in Murph's room. This is his daughter's room, and then there's some weird shit going on, some weird stuff going on.
Yes.
And then
the bookcases, the
bookcases, and then they run into NASA. He, like you said, launches to space. Weird, trippy stuff happens. They go through a bunch of time stuff.
Yeah.
And then he ends up going through this Tesseract thing.
Yes.
He was the ghost all along.
Yep.
And then we go back and find his daughter, like 50 years older than him.
She's
dying.
like 80 and on her deathbed.
Whatever your age is supposed to be.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so pop for the podium. So we're gonna start with the first one. Or you want to start from the third one this time?
You lead it. So whatever you got in your head fresh, we'll go with that.
All right. So Interstellar is one of the movies that I would say I've watched this movie I think 4 or 5 times now. And I was trying to think, for Pop Podium, why do I keep coming back to this movie, right?
Good question, yeah.
And I know a good deal of the reason is because of the soundtrack.
Okay.
The soundtrack in this movie was out of this world. It was so good. But I was thinking about what songs is it that I actually like a lot. So you know the soundtrack that much, but a lot of people who are really into Interstellar do. Okay. So I'm gonna bring up some soundtrack names. So at first, when I first watched the movie, I was blown away by "No Time for Caution," which is the song that plays when they're docking. That insane docking sequence.
That was crazy. That was a great scene.
So I thought, okay, maybe this is the song I really love about this movie. But as time has gone on, like this movie came out 6 years ago, there's a song that I like a lot more now, and it's the main theme, or "Stay" is another. The two songs kind of sound like that, and they kind of sound like lullabies. I don't know if you caught it when you were watching the movie. You probably did, but there's like the slow piano thing, and I think it helps show one aspect of the movie that makes it very different from a lot of sci-fi movies. And like a lot of those movies are very cold and medical, like 2001: A Space Odyssey and Apollo 13.
Very much those kind of vibes, yeah.
Yeah, but then all of a sudden you have this whole daughter thing thrown in. The movie really their daughter, and I think the music, because nothing else other than them interacting in the story makes it solidifies how much it is about father and daughter, right?
Yeah.
But the music permeates out all parts of the movie. Right?
That's interesting. Okay.
Because the only scenes I can think of that are really poignant on father and daughter are the opening scenes and that scene where he sees her aged.
Yeah.
And he's crying.
Yeah.
Those are like the 2 scenes. So it's just 2 scenes. How much of the movie is that? But it permeates the entire movie. Where the music is this constant variation on the original lullaby. And I think it's that makes the movie so special, is that in reality, it's not really about a space movie. In reality, it's about a father and daughter story.
Yeah, I'd say that for sure, because not only the 2 scenes of them that you mentioned, but also throughout it, every action he takes is very much motivated for his daughter.
Yeah, exactly.
As opposed to saving the human race or whatever it is that everyone else is trying to do.
He always puts it in that perspective.
So yeah, so with the lullaby thing, do you think it's the soundtrack or more just the theme of father and daughter that you like a lot?
So I think what it is at first I was just gonna say soundtrack because it was part of this movie, but I don't think that's really enough. It's like, what about the soundtrack is so good?
Yeah.
And I think the soundtrack is what really brings out the emotions. And I was looking into why, and I think Slate or someone did like a interview with Hans Zimmer or something about this, and they were saying that Nolan didn't tell Zimmer what the movie was actually about. He just gave him a piece of the script about the father and daughter story.
Oh, okay.
So I'm a big Zimmer fan, so I know this about Zimmer, is that he was very close to his father as a kid. And his father was the one who taught him how to play piano and have fun with it instead of being musically restricted, basically. Like they were he would attach chainsaws and stuff to it, just like have fun with the piano, right?
Okay.
But he died at an early age, and I think when Nolan gave him that, it brought out those emotions. And Zimmer said it was also when he wrote all the songs, he thought about it from the perspective of being a father, not about being a space movie. And then afterwards, like those are the main themes. Afterwards, he took the important scenes like the docking scene, and he changed those lullaby-like scenes, those lullaby-like tunes, into bombastic organ pieces.
Gotcha.
And I think the music added a whole new dimension to the movie. From me at least, that keeps having me go back to this movie. And when I was watching it with you, like for the fourth or fifth time, whichever one it is, the music was still the most important part. Where it was like, even when stuff's happened, you can hear the music and you're tied into that little lullaby, and you're reminded what it was like before, like right when the movie started, when it was just him and his daughter and his son.
Okay.
That's why I think that's
I'd give that a spot. I think very opposite to you. You said you've seen it 4 times. You keep going back to it. I watched this one time with you, and the first thing I said to you when the movie ended was, "I'm never watching this movie again."
Yeah.
But it was a great movie.
Yeah.
But it was just super, super dense of a movie. So, for me, it was like, I'd recommend this to everybody, but I just would never sit through that again, because just everything in it really had me, like, just weighed on me as I was watching it.
Yeah.
Just every theme in it was super heavy, and every scene was, like, just very impactful. So I feel like that might be one of the biggest things for me that had me so enthralled with it and had me, like, thinking about it for days after I saw it, was just how heavy because there's multiple themes in this movie, and each one of them was super heavy. Like, first of all, the planet is dying. That's already heavy. Then you have, like, the human race, we might have to have it continue without us. Just have, this little colony that we put on a different planet somewhere of, like, eggs and sperm and whatever. And then you have, like, the time passing, like, exponentially quickly. All these scenes, just, like, as I was watching, I was having, like, almost like a panic attack. You saw me, and I was like, geez, like, so I think that for me, like, the heaviness of the thing, I think the best way to put into words, like, the heaviness and density of the themes had me just, like, so into the movie, and I like felt things like straight up regular anxiety watching the movie, which I had never really felt in another movie before.
Really?
Yeah, it's like straight up anxiety, which is, like, very good.
Was it most of the time stuff? Because when we were watching, you were freaking out about the time
stuff. The time stuff was a big one, and then also the idea of, like, the human race just dying out, and then the question, which I kept saying to you, is, like, is it worth continuing the human species if we're all dead? Like, who cares at that point about, like, the abstract idea of, some humans will survive, like who just that philosophy, almost like that philosophical question, was also another heavy part for me. So
whoa, this is heavy. There's that word again, heavy. Why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull? What?
Still awake for some of it, so we aged a decent amount. And that scene got me, because I was always the whole time that they were on that planet, and like, time's gonna go by faster on Earth. I was like, okay. I was thinking like how, like, time would be on Earth, and like his daughter would be older. I wasn't even thinking about the other scientist in orbit, who was, like, also experiencing a faster time. I totally forgot about that. I thought he had the same time as them. So I, like, when he came out, like, almost an old man, I was like, oh my god. I'm like, no way.
So yeah. I think definitely, like, McConaughey, he did a good job in this movie.
Yeah.
He did a really good job in this movie.
Yeah, McConaughey was great.
And his daughter, the girl, like, when she gets older, I forget who it is who plays his daughter when they get older, she did a really good job too.
Yeah.
I think we should give that second then. Like, the heaviness of
it? Okay. So that's good.
Because definitely, like, I remember the first time I watched it, I was blown away by how good some of the themes were. Yeah. Because it's one thing to, like, be a sci-fi movie and use all the sci-fi stuff, but it's a whole new thing to take that and make it, like, really impactful while you're watching it.
Yeah, I mean, they also, like, at the end of the day, they didn't really use that many sci-fi tropes.
No.
Like, obviously, there were some, because it's a sci-fi movie, nothing exists in a vacuum. But, like, it was very different than, like, the classic, Star Trek, Star Wars, all the other ones you have. It was very, like, grounded to an extent. It was grounded,
it's right?
Like
the last scene.
The Tesseract
scene.
Like, just, it was grounded in the way that you can tell they had, like, specialists advising them and whatnot, and like it showed because a lot of it felt very technical and very like just subversive from what you normally see in this genre, which definitely helped the themes. Like the heaviness of the themes worked so well, also probably because how realistic a lot of it felt.
Yeah, you had the planet with like the ice clouds, and you had Gargantua, the black hole.
Yeah.
And the black hole was done really well, and then you had the wormhole. That whole wormhole scene was really intense.
They're like the ship they were on the whole time seemed very like realistic too.
Oh yeah, what was it? Endurance.
Endurance, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and how they did the artificial gravity, but actually spinning it.
Yep.
Even that the final ship all the way at the end, that giant station ship, still is very.
Like it looked like an actual space station.
Yeah.
For the most part, but that definitely helped with everything too.
So the third one is where I'm going to be a little bit torn because I don't know which one to choose. Because part of me wants to choose something related to like how scientifically accurate it was,
Yeah.
but that's coming from someone who is really into science.
What's your other thought?
The other one is like, is it the science that was really really good, or is it something else? I don't know. Is it just something else? Like, do you have any other ideas?
Because here's the thing: is that before you even said that was your third option, when I was talking about how heavy it was, how heavy the themes were. I said that worked so well because of how accurate it felt.
Oh, okay.
So that definitely, like, my mind was going to the same place. And I'm not even into the space, like, science stuff like you are in that way. But even for me, you could feel it. So I think it definitely could deserve its third spot. Because I was, like, kind of, like, accidentally brought that up without even knowing you were going to talk about that. So
yes.
I think that's a pretty good third one. Is just how accurate, like, obviously not actually accurate, but how just, like, realistic everything felt.
I don't know, because, like, it's crazy because time dilation, like they did it in that movie, where you can be on a planet near a black hole, and what was it like? What this? How many years was it per hour? 7 years per hour?
Yeah, 7.
It's like I feel like those kind of themes really aren't that explored very well in most sci-fi movies. To that, like that, like to tie that in with his daughter to give the emotional impact to it, where you see your family member who age to be the same age as you. Like, to tie all that together, the other two podiums that we gave them already, the heaviness and then the father-daughter, they use those two things as mechanisms to drive home how accurate their science was.
Yeah, this PopPodium, the 3 we have so far, if we go with these, it's kind of interesting because I feel like these 3 all work together. The father-daughter relationship, the accuracy of what they used, and the heaviness of the themes, all those 3 things kind of work together to tell the story and deliver what we got. So I feel like that's a solid 3 setup right there.
Yeah. Also, like, especially as someone who is a science nerd, who's always watching SpaceX stuff,
Yeah.
I feel like if you are that kind of person who's, like, watching the SpaceX streams when they're about to launch a test rocket, right? Like, no one else is even watching it, right?
Yeah.
You're probably going to like this movie because of the scientific accuracy. Because you see the beauty of a black hole, right? Where that was the first time a special effects studio had done that, and it was done so well they had to write a paper about it. So it was actually accepted by, it was really, hard science. That was really good stuff. And the wormhole stuff was awesome. You had people like Kip Thorne involved in the movie. You're going to get something that's really, really good. But the music brings you into the space vibe, but the lullaby brings you into the father-daughter thing that gives this emotional weight to it. But also just, the giant wave coming at the ship.
Oh, yeah,
just the spaceship scenes, and when you're in space, how it's completely quiet. That so much of that was done so well.
Yeah, they execute everything like flawlessly.
Typical Nolan.
It was a great. I would again never watch this movie, but it was a great movie.
You were so traumatized by this movie,
dude. It gave me I was on literally the edge of my seat. Yeah. Like actually the whole time, and it was like very much not a comforting experience at all. But it was. Maybe in a couple of years I'll watch it again, but not anytime soon.
I don't watch it that often. I don't watch it like every year.
It was a crazy movie, but definitely great.
I think it's a good PopPodium.
I think it's a pretty solid 3. Yeah, I think we'll go with those. Yeah.
I like how they actually really function well together too.
Yeah.
I feel like if we come back to more Nolan films, it's probably gonna be very similar.
Yeah, because he does them always really well.
But he does like a very similar thing for each movie, right? Where it's like the music always brings out a certain aspect of the movie. The movie's always very intense and heavy. But I think even for Nolan, this movie having such a real... I don't know, maybe you disagree with me. Because, alright, so Inception, they had the whole mall thing, remember? And she jumps off the window and kills herself.
Okay.
And I thought at that point, like, that's like the most emotional Nolan's gonna get in his films. Because other than that, you have like Dunkirk and Batman movies, right? And neither of those really get that emotional, right? Even Batman,
Okay.
I never really felt that like, no, it's Spider-Man, Mary Jane. You feel that romance story.
Yeah.
I didn't really feel it in the
No,
Nolan
you don't
Batman.
feel Bruce Wayne.
No, I didn't really feel it. But like his connection to Murph, I felt that. That
100%,
was like
100%. Yeah.
I think that was the deepest they've gotten in a Nolan film.
McConaughey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
That's it for this one.
Yep.
All right. See you guys.